You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. I am Mo Mootsie. Alongside me, as always, the one, the only, Mr. BJ Armstrong.
Mo, there's only one game tonight.
Oh, man.
So let's get right to it.
I might even get to bed before the sun comes
Yeah, you
up.
might get to bed. That's what I'm saying. I want to get this done just so you can get some sleep. You know,
for the first time this season. All right, so remember when we did our prediction video for the playoffs, and I said Celtics will take.
Yeah, where do we stand with that? I forgot who I picked. Where do we stand with that?
In that game? Let's have a little look at that. You picked the Bucks, I picked the Bucks. We're both wrong. You picked the Knicks, I picked the Cavs. You were right on that one. We both picked the Sixers. You said in 6, I said in 5, but they ended up doing it in 4. And then you said Celtics in 5, and I said Celtics in 6. Do you remember the reason I told you why it would be 6 games?
I do not, but remind me, please.
They are not a serious team. They are not a serious team. They are unserious candidates. They are unserious.
But they got it done. So
they're talking about playing with your food. Man, listen, they got it done in the end, right? But it looked like for most of the game, the Hawks were going to win. So very relieved. They get a little bit more rest than they would have before they start their series against the Sixers. They should have got more rest by winning it in 4 or 5 games, but here we are. Maybe a nice wake-up call, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Through the game. So, go ahead.
Who else did we pick in the West? Go in the West.
We going in the West? We doing this? I was going to wait until the Memphis and the Warriors series is all finished to do that one. Let's have a look. Okay. Let me have a look.
Who did we pick in that series? I forgot who I picked in that series.
So you picked Nuggets in 7. I picked Nuggets in 6. You picked Suns in 5. I picked Suns in 6. You picked Kings in 7. I picked Warriors in 6. And you picked Grizzlies in 6. And I picked Lakers in 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we'll see. That's interesting. Well, I'm wrong. So you still got a chance.
Everyone's wrong after Milwaukee went home. Everyone on the planet is wrong. So I don't want to hear nothing about wrong predictions, right? But let's talk about this Hawks game, right? Because I'll tell you my closing thoughts from this series, right? Everyone expected the Celtics to win. But I feel so much better about the Hawks organization now than I did after the final game of the regular season. You see what I'm saying? Like the play-in performance they had, and then the way they played in this series against the Celtics for a team that's had to take on a new coach mid-season. You know, they've changed their whole guard rotation. This is the first year of DeJounte and Trey playing together. I also think if, DeJounte was suspended in another game, the Hawks might have won tonight, I think.
Oh God!
Not a knock against DeJounte.
Did you really just say that?
Not a knock against DeJounte Murray. I just think Trey Young feels more comfortable when it's just him as the only ball handler. Not a knock against DeJounte's game in any way.
So you don't think it's a good fit? You don't think it's a good fit?
I think in theory it's a good fit, right? In theory, it's a good fit. Okay, cool. You've got one guy who can shoot the ball and he's rubbish on defense. You've got one guy who's good on defense and he can attack on the inside. Cool. But the reality of it is throughout the season, it hasn't been the fit they thought. Maybe they just need more time to figure it out. But here we are. The Hawks are eliminated. Safe trip to Cancun, boys. Gave me a little scare on their way out. But the Celtics worry me more than the Hawks. We saw early minutes for Grant Williams in this one. Were you happy about that?
Very happy about that. Look, depth is one of the qualities. It's an essential element that you need to make a deep playoffs. For whatever reason, he wasn't playing. He doesn't play at home, but he plays on the road. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, they will incorporate him because they're going to need him and Brogdon. And if they're going to continue to bring the Time Lord off, yes, that's what I'm saying. You have to have depth. It's essential. So that was great to see, and I thought he did a nice job, and I thought he contributed to the game here this evening.
Jaylen Brown, 32 points. Jason Tatum, 30 points. Marcus Smart, 22 points. Huge buckets in the clutch from Marcus Smart. Malcolm Brogdon off the bench with 17. The one thing that concerned me here is the Hawks were generating most of their offense throughout this game by literally doing what the Heat did against the Bucks when they picked on Chris Middleton, but they were going at Al Horford. They wanted to get Al Horford switched onto Trae Young, or they know that Al Horford's playing a drop coverage and they're going to be able to attack into the paint off of that. That was a concern for me, especially when you got to face Tyrese Maxey in the next round. That was my initial concern with that one. Offensively, to start the game, it looked like Jaylen Brown was forcing the issue a little too much, but he finished 52% from the field, 6 of 8 from behind the arc, 32 points. Can't rely on 6 from 8 from behind the arc every night, but you got to just play the hand you're dealt. Jason Tatum, there were times in this game where I was just watching, I'm like, man, just stop settling for these threes. Just the side step threes, just no. But we're going to see when they face a tougher opponent how that all shakes out. Derek White, who's been fantastic through the series so far, he had a little bit of a cold night, but that's okay because Brogdon came in off the bench, gave them huge minutes in the fourth. Rob Williams, superb as always, 2 steals and 3 blocks, doing his thing. Al Horford had 3 blocks and 2 steals, just to mention. The Celtics did a great job. And the best part of the game, PJ, do you know the best part of the game for me?
Celtics won.
Only 7 turnovers.
Oh,
that final.
Are we back to that? It's a little early, but it's just the first round. We can't start counting turnovers now. Well, come on.
I always count the turnovers. Since the finals last year, I don't even look at the final score. I just look at the turnovers. That will tell me the final score. The Celtics did display a level of focus down the stretch. It felt like they shifted into a gear for the final three minutes.
Well, they did. They switched their defense. So give Coach Mazzulla and his staff credit. And you were absolutely right, Mo. That was a key thing that happened during the course of the game. They found something that worked for them that gave them rhythm. They were able to put Al Horford in all the screen roles, and they targeted him. However, in the last, I think it was like the 5:30 mark, they switched their defense, and they either trapped it or they literally just switched and then came back and doubled, which to me, you got to do something. So give Coach Mazzulla credit for saying we have to do something in crunch time, which I thought contributed to them They got out of rhythm.
This is a thing as well. Like, I'm thinking, all right, cool. Trae Young's just burned you in the last game. How many points did he have? He started the first quarter with 18 points in the first, right? And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, me just being, just a viewer of the NBA, analyst, whatever you want to call it.
Well, you're a coach now. You just put your resume.
Well, they haven't accepted. They haven't yet accepted. They still need to fire Budenholzer first, but soon to be the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. But I was wondering why they didn't switch up the coverage, but it's because they were just hanging around in the game. Right. And credit to Joe Mazzulla for only using it when he needed it, because then the Hawks didn't have time and a chance to adjust to it. So great coaching from Mazzulla. Right. I was very frustrated with him up until they ended up fourth. They ended up with like 3 straight possessions where they blocked shots. Fantastic. And then also for the last couple of minutes, you saw Marcus Smart picking up Trae Young full court. The really funny part to me, did you see the sequence where like Trae Young tried to inbound the ball 3 times, and all 3 times he couldn't get it in, and he was just deflecting it off Marcus's body to get another inbound. And then who was it? Hunter came to inbound it. He couldn't get the ball in. So that's just when the Celtics play with their size, it's difficult for the opposition to just get simple things going. So hopefully now the Celtics can bring that defensive intensity onto the next one. What are your key takeaways from this series moving forwards?
Well, the first thing I want to say this to all the future coaches out here. The most important thing when you draw up a play, a sideline out of bound play, is to get the ball in bounds. And you could see how critical that sequence was. They couldn't even get the ball in. And it got to be to a point, Mo, where a lot of times you'll draw these diagrams up, and the diagram is different once you get out there and you actually have to execute it. It was in a very difficult place, the sideline out of bounds play. And the real problem was the height difference between Marcus Smart and Trae Young. And it was so difficult that they eventually had to take Trae Young off of that play. And I think they put in DeAndre Hunter to just try to get the ball in. And then they turn it over anyway. So it was like 4 or 5 times they couldn't even get the ball in. So, it's little things like that, Mo, that you go, those are the differences between winning and losing. Just that little sequence. And I'm not saying that was the reason they lost. I'm just using that as an example of the small things matter when you're playing in big moments. The thing that I was impressed with the Boston Celtics tonight is they hung around. They just hung around. That's what a good team does. you know what? You hang around, and then at the end, you get the necessary stops that you need. So I was very encouraged by the following. Most times teams win on their offense, especially bad teams. If they shoot well, they make threes that night, they win. It's great. They shot 55% from three or whatever. Well, the Celtics, they got the stops that were necessary to win the game. And when you have a team that you can get stops, Mo, and you can come down on the other end and execute, then that's always a positive sign. And Marcus Smart, you know what? We've always known this about Marcus. Marcus is a mentally tough kid.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he bounced back in this game in particular and made big play after big play, big shot after big shot, took on the matchup on the defensive end. And he was a lockdown defender. Uncle Al just shows up. I mean, Uncle Al shows up and just hits big threes. I think we all forget. I forget about him.
Man, and that's his former stomping ground. He played most of his career with the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, Big Al was terrific. I mean, he's just, when you say a vet, I mean, that's the ultimate vet. Like he just gets out of the way, and he's like, hey, when you guys are tired, just throw me the ball. You know what I mean? That's Al. He's like, okay, you guys run around, shoot your threes, Jason, and then when you get tired, you know where I'm at. And he has a timely. He's kind of the newer version of Robert Horry. He just makes big shots.
Well,
he scores like 10 points, but he makes big shots.
He can get a championship ring like Robert Horry did many times throughout the course of his career.
I didn't say he's not playing with Shaq. He's not playing with Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not playing with Kobe Bryant. The late Kobe Bryant. Don't play Al here for it. He's doing his part. Okay. Robert Horry played with Tim Duncan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a little different. But you know what? I think you get the point. The guy, he's a big time player.
Well, the season's through. We've got two matchups coming up tonight. Now we've got game number 6 in 2 Western Conference matchups that I cannot wait for. I'm so excited. We start with the Warriors traveling to the Bay Area. Is it still the Bay Area? Because it's San Francisco now. I don't really understand.
Still the Bay Area? Whoa.
I don't understand. Oakland, Bay Area, San Francisco.
Hold on.
What's the difference?
Let me correct. Let me know. Hold on. Let me correct you. Okay. Now, the tourists who come here, they go, I'm going to San Francisco.
Yeah, with the bridge.
Okay. Now, to the locals, we go, oh, okay, he's not from here. Then if you may be from, let's say you're from Oklahoma, you go, I'm coming to the Bay Area. That means are you going to Oakland? Are you going to, Marin County? Are you going to San Francisco? So you'd be like, okay, this guy, maybe he's been out here before. But let me tell you what the locals say. The yay.
That's E40.
No, I want you to put that's E40. Now, let me understand. Now, let me tell you what the locals say. The yay. Do you understand? Now,
I heard it.
Whatever you say, it tells us where you're from. Hey guys, I'm going to San Francisco. Oh, okay. He's not from here. Okay. I'm from the Bay Area. Okay. Maybe he's been out here too. Couple times. But if you from the area where you say you from, I'm from the yay. So now, Mo, and to all our listeners there in the UK,
here's the problem.
Give you a little local flavor.
In local slang of the UK, yay means something very different.
Okay, that may be.
If I'm not going to explain that because we're a family-friendly show.
I don't. Yes.
You don't want to get caught with some yay. Let's just say that, and then that's that.
Yeah,
but okay, cool. You wouldn't think that I spent a month there last summer, would you?
No. But no, clearly, you're not from the yay.
Oh hell no! I spent the whole time working, making podcasts.
Yes, you did. You did in San Francisco.
Yes, in San Francisco. Although I didn't even get to see the damn bridge. I went there twice, and both times the clouds were covering up. So I went all the way there to see clouds. It was awful. But they host the Sacramento Kings with a chance to win the series. They hold a 3-2 lead. And at home, they are even better than they are on the road, where they won their last game in Sacramento. So, who you got for this one? Because I'm pretty confident in Golden State closing it out.
I agree with you. Mo, I agree. I think they accomplish. It took them 3 tries, but they got job done. And I think this team they're a veteran team. And as they say, Mo, I don't think they're going to play with their food at the table. I think they're going to handle their business.
As Doc Rivers says,
I think they're going to try to take
meat.
Yeah. I think you got to.
That's what Doc said, not me. He said it in the press conference. Yeah. And then he had to put out an apology.
Well, I think it's important for the Warriors. When you have someone on the ropes, you take them out.
Yep.
So I expect the Warriors to come there and finish the job and
100%.
Advance to the next round. That's what I expect.
And you got to think about it. Like, the Warriors are used to playing under pressure. These Kings players have never played with this amount of pressure in their lives. So I'm expecting the Warriors to handle business. They found something here with the Draymond coming off the bench. They've definitely found something that's worked. They've done a great job in taking away a lot of the offense that comes from Sabonis creating at the top. They're really just daring him into shooting jump shots, which he doesn't really seem very confident about at all. Even from the mid-range, he's not very confident in those jump shots. So we're going to see what adjustments Sacramento make. If you were the Kings, what adjustments would you be looking to make coming into this one?
Mo, that's a great question. And here's the thing: when you put together a game plan, you have to believe in that game plan, whether you win or lose. You got to believe in it, and you have to believe that the fact that it's going to win and it's going to work. And why is it going to work? Because we're going to execute it. Here's what the Warriors have done. The Warriors have, anytime something doesn't work, they move on to something and they try to find what does work. Meaning, Steve Kerr and his staff, they're showing you that, no, we don't have all the answers. But what we do is we have every tool in the bag, and we got to find the right tool that's going to work. On the other hand, when I watch the Kings, their solution to everything is just to play faster.
Yeah.
Well,
they're an offensive focused team. Like, that's what they do. It's not like they're going to dig in on defense. They've never done that.
Yeah, their solution is we're going to just play faster. Now, Steve Kerr, in my opinion, when you say what would I do, is I have to find the right matchups for our team versus their team. Steve Kerr has figured out, I don't want to spend any time with Steph Curry dribbling the ball versus
Davion Mitchell.
What's the guy? Off night. Yes.
Yeah.
Off night.
Yeah.
Off night's job is just
do you guys want to know what's hilarious? Every day, you guys, BJ, we'll be talking on the phone, we'll be talking after the show, and he asked me, what's the kid's name? Off night. What's the kid's name? Every day of the week I have to tell him. Off night.
Yes.
Davion.
Yes. Who, by the way, I'm a huge fan of off nights.
Yes.
But so when he comes in the game, Steve Kerr, he always takes Steph Curry either off the ball or he takes him out of the game, which messes up their game plan for Sacramento, because now he's playing his normal 6 to 8 minute run versus DiVincenzo, for instance.
Or even if he's still in the game, Steph off the ball is going to run through about 5 screens in the space of 10 seconds. And as great as you can be as a defender, that's right. Good luck.
So the thing that it's impressive to me is Steve Kerr is figuring out the matchups, who he wants to play versus who. And Coach Brown is saying, I'm just going to impose my will and just play faster, regardless of what Steve Kerr's doing. I'm a huge matchup guy. Why? Because there's no counter to speed and quickness. And when you have the right matchups, the game will kind of shake itself out because you got the right guy guarding the right guy. I just think Coach Brown has to figure out with his team the matchups that he wants to exploit. because you bringing Draymond Green off the bench allows Steve Kerr a luxury that Coach Brown doesn't have. And that luxury is this. He's bringing in a starter that he knows why he's bringing this guy in. He's going, okay, when they bring in Alex Len, I'm going to neutralize that. I'm going to neutralize that.
Yeah.
I'm bringing Draymond in because I want to stop something. Where on the other hand, Coach Brown is just saying, guys, play faster, keep running, keep shooting your shots when you're open. Just keep going harder. You know what I mean? And at some point here, you got to get to your matchup. So what would I do? Very simple. Very simply is I would try to match up the game and exploit the matchups that benefit me on both ends of the court. Because right now, everybody knows everyone's offense. It's not like someone's going to pull something out of your hat. And they got to get somebody to contribute. You know, one game, Alex Len came in. Trey Lyles had 17 in one of the wins. Malik Monk had 30 in the wins. The Warriors have taken all that away. The only player that the Warriors can't contain is De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
But everyone else they've contained. But on the other hand, what has the Sacramento Kings contained? Draymond Green had 21 points. Kevon Looney had 22 rebounds.
And 7 assists.
Those are huge. Those are huge contributions. Okay, we know what Steph's going to do. We know what Klay's going to do. But when you start getting those type of contributions, now you're talking about something.
Well, what I would do if I was the Kings, I would start the game and I would relentlessly go at Klay Thompson over and over and over again to try and get him in foul trouble. Because the one thing I don't want to see if I'm the Sacramento Kings is the man that we all fear. Game 6, Klay.
Oh, stop it.
Game 6, Klay. That's a different animal. You got to get him out of the game. So, no, that's a different beast.
Stop it.
That's a different beast.
Mo, you're reading the press clippings now. Stop it.
No, I'm watching Klay Thompson. He just goes to a different place for game 6. I'm telling you. They got to get him in foul trouble or he's having 30 for them. I'll tell you that now. Might even have 40 for them. It's Klay. Come on, dog. It's Klay Thompson, game 6.
Okay, if you say so.
I'm ready for it. Anyway, the next matchup of the night, we have the Memphis Grizzlies trying to save their season by going to LA to take on LeBron James's LA Lakers, or should I say Austin Reeves' LA Lakers, or whoever's team it is now, because LeBron was very disappointing in the last game and he managed to avoid all criticism because all anyone will talk about is the Milwaukee Bucks losing. So shout out to LeBron. He picks a perfect night to have a quiet game.
To have an off night.
Yeah. Davion Mitchell won there. But who have you got for that one?
I want to say the Lakers. I'm just going to say the Lakers because you know what? I think it's a must win for them. If they don't win this game, Mo, I don't want to see the potential epic. I think it would be epic meltdown if the Lakers don't finish this. Well, I just think it's going to be too. I think if they don't win tomorrow night, they have to fly back to Memphis for an early tip-off on Sunday. And Mo, I just don't see it. Well, so I'm going to say the Lakers, and then I'm just going to – that's it. And why I'm saying it, I just don't want to see – I mean, Mo, it'll be so brutal that I can't even imagine.
So you're still saying the Lakers, even though they've had a travel day and then they've got the game coming up tonight?
I don't think there's they don't have a choice. Now, if you're asking me what I really think,
yes,
I think youth will be served.
So are you saying the Grizzlies? I'm asking what you really think.
Yes, yeah. I think
so. I think
the youth will be served. I think, Mo, this is a young man's game. But I'm going to pick the Lakers because, Mo, I don't want to see it. I don't. I'm just picking the Lakers because I don't want to see it. Mo,
I'm picking.
I don't want to see that.
I'm picking the Lakers. LeBron bounce back. He'll have like 40 as a final farewell to Dylan Brooks. It's already. You can see the script. It's already there.
For the record, I'm picking the Lakers. However, Mo,
you're really picking the Grizzlies. You really,
I'm
because when we record tomorrow night, you're going to say, "Mo, I told you, youth has been served." You're really picking Memphis.
No, Mo, I have to. Mo, I have to because Mo, this is a young man's game. Mo,
so pick the Grizzlies. So pick the Grizzlies then.
Well, Mo, I'm just going to act my age. I'm going to act my age and say I picked them because, Mo, I don't think the Lakers have a chance. They have to win that game tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Mo, if you go back to they still call it the grindhouse and whatever. I don't know
because they're not really grit and grind anymore, are they? They're more like jumping really
but
high.
I'm gonna tell you what.
Talking.
Yeah, but if they go back there, I just don't want to see the Mo. Do you know how tough it is? The LA media will be if they. Oh, Mo.
LA media. Just, do you know how tough listening to this podcast will be for Laker fans if they lose tonight?
Oh, I know. As I'm saying, I just don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it.
I don't care about LA media.
They lose,
I care about the Hoop Jeans podcast.
If they lose tomorrow night at home, you're just doing the podcast by yourself. I can't because I'm just going to let you rant because it's going to be.
Darvin Ham said something. Darvin Ham said something that's interesting to me. He was like, "There's no pressure on us. We weren't even meant to be here because they weren't in the playoffs all year long." I'm like, bro, you got LeBron on your team. What the hell are you talking about? You weren't meant to be here. You weren't meant to be in the play-in. You were meant to be the 2nd seed, not the 7th seed. I know what he's talking about. But speaking of press,
see, you're already started. They're already started.
Speaking of
everyone's all lined up, and they're going to just, you know what? I'm going with the Lakers. End of discussion.
So speaking of press, though, Jarrett Allen came out with a quote after the Caps got eliminated, humiliated, whatever they got. And he said the lights were too bright. He goes, the lights were brighter than I thought they would be. I've never heard an NBA player be so honest with, their response of just saying, okay, cool. Yeah, the pressure was too much for me. What do you make of that statement from Mr. Young Jarrett Allen?
Is this his first time in the playoffs, Jarrett Allen?
Yeah, because they had the play in and he was injured and
Okay. New York. Unfortunately, I was able to play in New York in the playoffs, and I played against them in some really intense battles. One of them being the conference finals, 1992, and I can't. I'm old. I don't know. I can't even remember Devion Mitchell's name. Let alone what happened in 1992. I just know I did it. I don't know when I did it. But at least that's what they told me, right? That's a different animal. No, New York and LA, that's a little different. In particular, New York is. I know everyone thinks they have the greatest crowd, and then
it's
Chicago. We thought,
my bad.
Chicago thought they had the best crowd, and we did have. We had great crowds there, and then Sacramento has the cowbells. Everybody's got their thing. But let me tell you something. There's nothing like the Garden. I'm just gonna, like he's being honest, so I'm gonna be honest. There's nothing. That's the world's greatest arena. It's the greatest. It's the loudest.
Even louder than the Boston Garden was when we went in the finals because we couldn't even hear each other speak.
These are New York fans. New York is its own place. All right. As New Yorkers would say, everything else is just a suburb of Manhattan. Okay. There's New York, and then there's the rest of the country. Let's just be honest. Okay. All right. If you want to go to a game, Mo, and you want to experience the NBA as a fan, you have to go to a New York game, and then you can go to the other games and go, oh, okay. Yeah, that's cute.
The first time I went to the Garden was the Knicks versus Timberwolves when Carmelo Anthony was on the Knicks. And that was just a random night in December. And it was fantastic. Fully recommended.
Yeah, and now they're in the second round. Oh, Well, they're going. No, it's nothing like it. Okay, there's nothing like a new. Some of my fondest memories playing in the playoffs were in New York because the intensity is beyond. So was this eye-opening? I'm sure it was for him, as it should have been, right? I remember the very first time I played in New York. From the moment our plane landed, I was afraid that I didn't know what they were going to do on the plane. They were like, "You suck, Bulls." The guy was unloading the luggage. He was like, "You suck, Bulls." You're like, hey. And then you couldn't talk trash. You're like, "Man, I just want to make sure my bags get there." Yeah. The guys putting the bags from the plane to the bus, and we're walking to the bus, and he's like, New York, go New York. Bulls suck. You know, and then, then they're, okay, those guys are screaming. Then they're, okay. Then you get to the hotel. Then you're like, well, I got to be nice to those people because, you know, they're bringing you room service. They're doing whatever. And, you know, they come to clean your room, and they're like, no, I'm not cleaning your room. New York. I'm from New York. Hey, Mo, Mo, you go to the game. There were literally, there were people that wouldn't allow our bus to drive into Madison Square Garden.
That's crazy.
Okay. All right, Mo, like, you couldn't go out to dinner because the people in the restaurant were like screaming. This is New York. It's a different, Mo, all of my friends from New York. Yeah, like, Mo, if you know what we got to do tomorrow night, Mo?
Goes to New York.
We should get our friend Gerald Brown. Who lives in New York. He's from Harlem, to come on the show.
Okay.
You know what they're saying? They bleed orange and blue skies right now. It's orange and blue. Yeah. I'm going to, after the show, I'm going to send you the song.
I'm not mad.
I'm going to send you the song, Mo, that they've made. That's just all new. It's just go New York, go New York, go. It's
okay.
So,
yeah, tough gig for Jarrett Allen. Tough gig.
I feel bad. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because he wasn't prepared for that.
The other big story in the media was Giannis's post-game comments, when the reporter asked him if the season was a failure. We got a question in through the Discord server. NL89 asked, after seeing Giannis switch in terms of get angry at the reporter, I don't think he was angry at the reporter. I think he's more frustrated about how his season ended. But after seeing Giannis's reaction, after being asked if his season was a failure, I would love to ask BJ if Michael Jordan thought every season without winning a championship was a failure.
Let me tell you something. Mo, it's different when you're a player, and it's different when you're a fan. It's different when you're covering the game. Now, I'm going to give you the mentality of many of us who've had the chance to win. When you win, Mo, it changes something about you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as winning after you win a championship, because the same thing, Mo, that you win, you feel the same way when you lose. Because, Mo, you realize, and this probably deserves more time than what we have here this evening. But truthfully speaking, Mo, once I won a championship, I lost all of the feelings of like whether I win or I lose. It's kind of like, it's like you escape the matrix. You're all of a sudden you peek in and you go, man, if I could just win a championship, I would be the ultimate thing. Once I won, I realized I was the same person. I didn't feel any different when I won, and then I didn't feel any different when I lost. I just knew, Mo, the following. Once you learn how to win, you never want to go back to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, people come up to me all the time, and they always ask me about, hey, man, what's it like to win a championship? That's what people want to talk about. Truthfully speaking, Mo, I didn't learn anything when I won. I learned everything that I know to this moment in defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Because the defeat is what taught me all of the lessons of what I really wanted to do with myself.
Mm-hmm.
If you really want to know the truth, you don't learn one thing when you win. Because, Mo, you make the last second shot. Mo comes down and makes the last second shot. 3, 2, 1. Mo throws it up and he makes it. What'd you win? What'd you learn? Luck? Because that was a lucky shot.
Yeah.
Grayson Allen. Okay, Grayson Allen makes that shot.
Don't get me started on Grayson Allen again.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just using him because they're just using it. Okay. Yeah. But when you lose, You have to confront all of the things that happened that got you to that point, and then realize the following: self-correcting people do best in life. So you got to correct that mistake. That's what I learned. When you understand why you win, that's when you win consistently. Jordan just understood why he won, and he avoided feeling that way again. Because Mo, once you do win, the feeling is unbearable. Pat Riley said it best. There's winning and then there's misery. Once you lose and you confront yourself, you get, man, this is just, I can't stand it. It's unbearable. It's like I can't even take it. Like, then Mo, you do everything possible to avoid that feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you are a competitor and you see how much it hurts him, like Giannis hurts, it hurts him. Why? Because he understands the following, in which I respect more than anything. More than anything he said. He was hurt. Now, I don't know to what degree he was hurt, but I know he was hurt. Because you can't tell me that if he would have played in those 3 games, that this series would.
No, it's a different outcome.
It's a different outcome. But the fact that he was able to sit there and give his reasoning and put it in perspective and say it with humility, I might add, let me know. So when I start hearing people comparing things, people forget this too, Mo. You know, Michael Jordan is perhaps the greatest player. I don't really know the greatest player. If you want me to answer, I don't know who's the greatest player.
I do.
Because there's no, okay. Everyone has their views, okay? But there's no way to
I can tell you who it's not.
Yeah, okay. But let me tell you this. You know, well, it took him like 7-8 years before he figured it out.
Yeah.
Okay. He took him like 7-8. He's like 28 years old when I think he won the first championship.
Yeah, and that's how old Giannis is now.
Okay. So, you know, Mo, I value losing. If I'm just gonna say it. I value the lessons that are learned there, because Mo, I played so hard and I poured my life into this, is because it hurt me when I lost.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a warrior and you understand that mentality, and you look at Giannis and you go, you know what? That's a champion.
Yeah.
Because when you want to find out who you really are, Mo, you find out who they really are in defeat. Because I've never seen a champion who hasn't lost.
Yeah.
Mo, I've never seen a champion. Why do you play that hard? Why did Jordan play that hard? Well, all those years of getting beat up in Detroit gave him that energy to say the following: if I ever get that chance, I'm not going to lose that opportunity, because I don't know if I get back. Coaches call that, we call that a sense of urgency. What made him play to that degree with that much passion? Somewhere along the line, he must have learned that lesson. And once he got there, Mo, the guy was what unquestionably, he's probably the greatest finisher. Because let me tell you something. If he got you on the ropes, Mo,
oh no,
no one finished. No one finished better than him. There was no second chances with him. Now, I'll say that right now. If Michael Jordan had you down 2-0 with the ball, he's going to finish that series. Mm-hmm. No doubt about that. If he's in the fourth quarter, game tied, he's going to finish that. So I learned a lot about Giannis. And I think Giannis is a phenomenal, phenomenal player. I loved his leadership and his question. He didn't give an excuse. Jimmy Butler played terrific. And you got to take that lesson. Do I think Giannis, and I can say this, do I think he was at full strength? Absolutely not. Do I think he was at his best? Absolutely not. However,
people don't actually know what his injury was and how serious it was. I feel like if it comes out how bad it really is, a lot of people will make a U-turn on what they've been.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, but you know what, Mo?
I think Shaq said it best. I think Shaq said it best. He said, "Is the season a failure? The season, yeah, is a failure. But are you a failure? Hell no. You're the best player in the world. Before you succeed, you must first learn to fail. It's okay.
I'm
learn from failure.
I'm not letting.
Because the season was a failure.
Allow that.
The season.
No, I can't.
You're the number one seed.
I can't.
And you lose in the first round to the 8th seed through a play-in.
I can't. I'm gonna tell you why. We walk in that door together. We leave in that door together. No, they didn't know the Milwaukee season was a failure, but Giannis is not a failure. No, that ain't how that works. You don't cut that. You don't either you gonna lead, follow, or get out of the way. Your choice. And we gonna walk in here together and leave together, or if one of y'all walk out, then okay. No, there ain't none of this. See, that's the issue that I have with that answer. Well, is Giannis a failure? No, because he got his numbers. Let me tell you something. Every star knows this. Every true superstar knows this. I'm not a superstar unless I got the role players that help me, that pass me the ball and do all the things for me to be a superstar.
Mm-hmm. Saying the season is a failure doesn't mean that
no.
It doesn't mean that it's a failure for individuals, but as a collective, it is a failure because you've lost.
Okay. Mo, how's it going to be a failure when you did your best?
If I do an exam, if I go to do an exam and I do my best and I fail the test, then it's a fail.
Well, no one. This is a lesson for you to learn. No one can tell you when or you did not do your best. Did you do your best on that test? If the answer is yes, I can't ask more. As a coach, I can't ask more from you than your best. As a player who's playing beside you, did Mo give his best versus Devin Booker? Did you do your best, Mo?
I'll cook him.
Mo did his best. Okay. Devin Booker hit the shot.
No, he didn't. I blocked it.
What more can I ask of you? I can't ask more than your best.
Yeah, I feel you.
You can't. All of this comparison. No, that's some new age stuff that didn't come into the game. No, those are the actors that play the game. See, there are players and then there are actors. The actors, when they do something good, they turn to the crowd and ask for the approval of the crowd. When the player hits a shot, he looks at his teammates and say, you know what? We got it done. Don't disguise the two. I'm not mad at anyone that y'all play. I know a player when I see one, and I know an actor when I see one. The actors look in the crowd and they're doing all the things. The players, they look to their teammates and go, I got you. When you miss a shot, that's okay. I got you. There's a difference here. So when all of these guys, Giannis is part of a team. Put the book bag on your back and carry the responsibility as the best player on the team. The best player carries the responsibility of the entire organization. That's a superstar. If you don't want that responsibility and you just want to be treated like a superstar, but have no responsibility as a superstar, tell me that too, and then I'll treat you like a star player. There's a difference. You can't have it both ways. When you lose, carry it. When you win, carry it. We win together, we lose together. Because let me tell you, I ain't never seen a player that made every shot. And you got to kick. This is a team sport. And no stars must play their role great. And the role players must play their role great. You can't have one without the other. So all of that talk about, well, the season was a success. Why? You can't tell me that Giannis didn't do his best. And you can't tell me that injuries aren't a part of the game. Mo, I say that from day one. Injuries are a part of the game. Sometimes the chemistry doesn't work. You just sat there and told me the chemistry doesn't look like it's going to work between Trae Young and the other kid. Okay, that's debatable. We can debate that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sometime, and let me tell you, I learned this from Hubie Brown, Coach Hubie Brown. We're sitting there, we're talking one day. He goes, BJ, they should make a rule that a coach should not be able to coach a team more than 3 years. So why you say that, Coach? He said, because after 3 years, let's be honest, no one wants to hear your voice anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that rule, especially for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Absolutely. For everybody. Why? Because when you're with someone as much as we are with each other in that locker room and you're playing, it's easy to blame the coach, right? It's easy to blame the coach. Truthfully speaking, coaching ain't got nothing to do with it. From this standpoint, the coaches are here to serve the players. You're here to serve the players. You're here to love the players. You're here to get them ready to play. If you're just telling me that the coach is the difference, then your team is probably not really that good. But every good coach will tell you the following. And this is an important lesson for you because you want to be a GM. Well, you want to be a coach, but
I'll be everything.
You want to be a GM. Yes. You are a really good coach when you have great players.
Of course.
You are a really good coach. And sometime your players don't perform when it's time to perform because every coach will be evaluated. The notoriety of a coach will always be judged by the performance of his players under pressure.
Mm-hmm.
The notoriety of a coach will always be evaluated by the performance of his players under pressure. That's coaching. Coaching is about taking people and taking young people where they can't take themselves. That's coaching. I don't care what they say. The Milwaukee Bucks won a championship under Coach Bud's tutelage and his coaching. And they can say whatever they want to say, but let me tell you something. No one is going to convince me that was an easy thing to do the way they did it. Right? They haven't had the same starting forward in the last 3 years. So we know stability is an important ingredient to winning a championship, especially when you're trying to repeat.
Mm-hmm.
So you got PJ Tucker there, you got Joe Ingles there, you got Pat Connaughton there. The one guy is out with a back injury. He missed almost entire season last year. Brook Lopez. The other kid, Chris Middleton, was out with a substantial injury.
Every team has injuries.
I mean, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. That's why you can't blame because every team has injuries. You're just hoping to not have an injury at the wrong time of the season. That's my point. Thank you. Now I can shut up because everyone wants to blame. Winning is the most difficult thing you will ever do in this league.
Disagree because you could have just called a timeout and gave yourself the chance to win despite the injuries, despite everything else, you got a timeout. There's still time on the clock. Call it, draw up a play, give your team a chance to win the game.
We're playing 48 minutes. And I get it. I get it, man. It's easy. Okay? It's easy. I get it. We should say that. Oh man, he should have called a timeout. Okay. Now, here's what you know. Here's why you don't call timeouts. You don't call a timeout because what is the one thing you don't want to play against? I don't want to play 5 versus 5. Why?
BJ, they didn't play. They literally dribbled out the clock.
Okay, I'm just merely stating what I've learned, and you state what you learned. Mo, I agree with what you're saying. Mo said they should have called a timeout. Okay, I can respectfully disagree with that. No, is that okay or is that
not even at the very end of the game? At the end of the fourth quarter, there's still time on the clock, and they didn't call a timeout, and they just decided to go to overtime instead. Eric Spoelstra came out today and said even he was in shock that Milwaukee didn't call a timeout in that situation where there's still enough time to get a shot but instead you just inbound the ball and go to overtime. I'm not even talking about the final possession. That's a whole different conversation. I'm talking about that instance. That
every coach has a different philosophy. If they win, no one says anything about it. The fact that he was shocked to me is like lets you know that, oh wow, it's like a shot fake. Well, you thought somebody was going to do something, you did something different. When your team is a championship caliber team, all right, you trust your team that they'll figure it out on the fly. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying he shouldn't have called a timeout. But what I'm saying is he trusted his guys enough that they would figure it out. Now, you can debate it. We can debate that all day. That's debatable. I've seen guys call timeouts and not be able to execute. I've seen teams that didn't. The safe thing to do is to call a timeout. Maybe he saw something different. Who knows what he saw? He knows his team better than we do. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much. He knows his team better than we do. And that to me is that's my only thing is when you second guess these coaches, because the timeout doesn't guarantee that the play was going to work. Like, is that a guarantee?
It gives you a chance, and worst case scenario, you go to overtime instead of just saying, well, why not? Let's go to overtime. You give yourself a chance to win. Like, that's like being in a tie game and you just decide not to take the last shot. We'll go to overtime instead.
Okay. I do know this. The execution of the play is far superior than the planning of the play. They didn't execute.
They didn't have a chance to because they didn't call a timeout. The clock just expired.
Because Mo, he knows his team better than we do.
I ain't buying this.
You don't have to buy it, Mo. You don't have to buy it. He did it.
He didn't do anything.
When he won a championship, no one said anything.
Because he coached a great
that's
finals that in that year. And this time he didn't make the right decisions and they lost.
That's the great thing about coaching. Second guessing someone is very, very easy. I get it. We all do it. When you have to make a decision, that's a very difficult thing. And for whatever reason, I'm not saying we don't agree with it. I'm not saying that he did the right thing. I don't know. But what I do know is that he knows something about his team that you and I don't.
Maybe.
And maybe, Mo, they had a play that wasn't executed. Maybe.
I guess we'll never know.
I'm gonna give you last example. I'm gonna give you the last example. It was game 2, Sacramento and Golden State. Steve Kerr forgot that he didn't have any more timeouts after he had a challenge call.
Mm-hmm.
And then they call a timeout or something.
Steph Curry called the timeout. Because they didn't win the challenge. When you win the challenge, you keep your timeout. If you lose the challenge, you lose the timeout.
Yeah,
and Steve Kerr didn't communicate that to Steph Curry, who thought they still had a timeout.
That's leadership. See, that's the difference. When you lead, you just accept the responsibility, right, wrong, or indifferent. We don't know. There's 15 coaches sitting over there. You can't tell me one of them didn't know, hey, Steve, or convey that to their player that they didn't know they had a time. You can't tell me that. We got 15 producers producing the show. Not one of us is going to tell us, hey, man, the show's over 30 minutes. You mean to just tell me we just randomly did it?
We've been recording for about an hour and the sun's coming up.
Okay, this is what I'm saying.
I'm trying to wrap this up.
We should wrap it up. But my point is, Steve Kerr accepted responsibility for the decision that was made. And instead of him saying, Steph, or whomever, he didn't say his coaching staff. He said, that was my fault. And I loved it. See, that's the difference. Mm-hmm. But whatever you saw, own it. That's leadership. If you thought your team could perform without a timeout and it didn't work, You own it. And if you own it, I respect it. But for me to sit here and blame, because I watched Steve Kerr in a press conference said, that was on me. And you can't tell me with 14 or 15 assistants that all of these coaches have. They got developmental coaches. They got offensive coordinators. They got associate head coaches. They got a million arenas. They got headphones. They got iPads. They got everything. You mean to tell me no one? I mean, Mo, it's ridiculous. Mo, you mean to tell me no one knew? They got everything. They're wired up.
They got AirPod Pros.
Mo, we're listening to the in-game speeches. Mo, every coach is taking down something. You mean to tell me not one of them said, hey, Steve, we got no more timeouts? But he owned it. And when he owned it, guess what they said?
Steph called that timeout because he was trapped in the backcourt and he was at risk of earning a 16-second violation. So
I get
there was no communication on that play.
Mo, that's my point. You own it. Whatever it is, whatever Coach Bud saw, it didn't work. You own it. Hey, man, this is what I thought. This is where I'm going, and this is what it is. And then you and I have the right to say, well, maybe he could have called a timeout. Okay. But I love that.
Okay.
I love the fact that Steve Kerr owned that moment. And I said, wow, that's why this guy is a phenomenal coach, because both of them possibly made a mistake. One guy that made a mistake, owned it and won. One guy made a mistake and lost. And then that's what I'm saying. Like, you and I, as fans, okay, we can say that. But truthfully speaking, Mo, those things are happening so fast. Those coaches got all those decisions and all those things and blah, blah, blah. And then whatever, it happens. And you know what? I feel bad that it happened. But at the same time, it's easy to second guess. And I don't want to take the easy route because, I've been on both sides of that. And it stinks when you lose. It stinks.
Yeah.
It stinks. And you know what I mean? And Coach Bud is listen. He's a terrific coach. He's won an NBA championship, and whatever happens is going to happen. But I'm telling you this, man. To sit in that hot seat, hey, you better be ready what comes with that.
I'm ready. Milwaukee, if you're listening, I'm ready. In the meantime, subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe. Tomorrow is going to be a classic episode. We've got the Lakers, we've got the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Kings. Oh. You don't want to miss it. We'll speak to you guys soon. Appreciate you all. Share the podcast with your friends. Leave a review, all that good stuff. Most importantly, get buckets and call timeouts when there's still time on the clock.